All right, welcome to the video. And this one we're going to be discussing corner kick option 2 for 7v7. And this one is really effective, okay? Because what's going to happen is once we run this play, you're going to have three options. Or once the start of the play happens, you're going to have three options that can transpire from one part. Okay, so it's really effective. And what's going to happen is I'm going to run you through this, right? Again, don't worry about the numbers. You're free to set the players as you need to, and where you feel like they're best, or let them make the decision, right? So when I run this with my team, I don't give them a specific spot where they have to stand. They make their decision, they set up their positions, and they call their number. So this is option 2. So the player that's running this, the corner kick taker, would say 2. Okay, so let me walk you through how this works. Obviously, the same setup as option 1. 3 players here. The only difference is now I bring the goalkeeper out to be an additional option, and you're going to find out here why in a moment. Then we have the 5 covering the top of the or midfield, give or take, right? And again, it doesn't have to be number 5. You can pick any player to play this position. It's just the one that I chose. You have 9 and 11, but it's just so you can kind of get the idea of how this corner kick play works. Okay, so let's walk you through it. So essentially what's going to happen is, let me hit play. We have a couple freeze frames. Number 7, the corner kick taker, is going to touch the ball into play, right? Just like a toe poke. Just poke it in very slowly so the ball starts rolling. He's then going to run up the end line to about 5 to 7 yards inside the field, right? Which means the 8 is free to go pick up the ball. And depending on how the opposing team sets up, there's a couple of options. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through the 3 options. So the 8 picks up the moving ball. Now the 3 options, or 4 options really, are play into the 7, right? Give it back to the 7 and he can turn and play. You can maybe lay it off directly into the 11, lay it off into the runner of the 5, lay it off to the 4. Okay, so this scenario we choose the 7. The 7 picks it up. Now they have a couple options. They could dribble if it's on, obviously pass, or pass. So this one, there's a lot more freedom of choice once the ball's in play for the 8, right? You could play it immediately in. You could play it to the 4, play it to the 7, maybe try the 11, right? So you can see it. There's a couple options. So once the 7 has it, there's a few options. So in this scenario, I pick it to go to the 11 to shoot. Okay, now I'm going to reset the ball. But again, if the 7 gets it, they're free to dribble. They're free to lay off. They're free to lay off or shoot if it's on. So there's many scenarios that can come from that one circumstance. So let me bring it back. So let's say we run the same play. The 8 goes and picks up the ball. Here is option, or part 2 of option 2. You can then lay it off to the 4, who can then cross and get the ball in the box. Same thing, right? So it just depends on how the defense is set up. So the 8 obviously probably needs to be very aware of what's going on around him or her, so they can make that decision. Do they pass to the 7? Do they pass to the 4? Or do they try something else? Okay, now here's the third part of option 2. Okay, so what's going to happen now is, number 1, the goalie is going to come get a shot. Okay, if 4 is already marked and it's not easy to play to 7, everybody else is covered, your 1 should be available. So it's very similar now in part 3 of option 2, like in corner kick play 1 to get the ball. So what's going to happen is, the 8 picks up the ball. If it's not on for the 4 to get it because they're being marked, the 4 can leave the area and start running to the box, right? The 1 would start running to go get the ball, the goalie, and then shoot it or cross, right? Put it in the box. And then you can see you can have 4 players crashing. So hopefully they get a good shot in. So if you have a highly skilled keeper, you rotate keepers like I do a lot of times, you might have a player that's very adept at putting the ball in the box. And then from any set piece, you can set this up and have this, because they're probably not, I haven't seen a team yet that will go and mark the goalkeeper on a corner kick. More than likely, they say, well, what is he doing out there? And they don't realize it until it's too late. Okay, and then we get the ball in the box. We can get 4 players crashing, and bang. Okay, so let me run you through this one more time. The 3 options. Right, so it's going to start with the 7 putting the ball into play. So once the 7 touches it, the ball's in play. So everybody's now live, including the defender. So everything is running normally, okay, as the game. So then you have to make decisions. So then the 7 can get it. You have 2 options here and out. And maybe even the 7 could pass it back to the 4, just depending on the scenario. This one, again, has a lot more freedom. Part 2 is you play it into the 4 who should be available, put the ball in the box. Again, you could have the 7 crash. Okay, and then reset. Part 3 would be the 4 gets out because they have a man, starts running towards the box, and the goalkeeper comes to shoot or cross and put it in the box. And just like that, we have our opportunity. And then obviously, let me take you back to this freeze frame. Oops, I'm going the wrong way, I think. There we go. Okay, so you can see here. And the final part, we get the ball back. I want you to notice that the 5 sees the goalie taking it and decides to drop off in case we lose the ball. Because now, of course, there's no goalkeeper. If there's no goalkeeper and they win the ball and they clear it out, they're going to have a big advantage. So the goalkeeper needs to return, obviously, and the 5 needs to be aware to cover that space. So that is option 2, and a lot of things come into this. So if you need to rewatch it, go ahead and try and take this in, okay? So I will see you in the next video discussing option 3.